Thank you. Good to be here. Game week.
Just obvious question, Dylan, going into the game week, you got an experienced quarterback, just the expectations going into game one, and do you foresee Jackson, just getting him some reps early in the season, and just that mentorship with Dylan and Jackson going into game one?
Yeah, part one of the question, obviously, feel great about Dylan. He's had a great camp. This is a guy that started 36 games. Has had a ton of production. So looking for him to, be dominant and play really, really well at a championship level. Expect that. He expects that. And so excited for him to get on the grass Saturday morning. Then with Jackson, we'll continue to work through that. We want to try, every way imaginable to create growth when those opportunities come up. So as we work through that, we'll continue to evaluate and see where that lands.
Yeah, Jeff, sticking with Dylan, I wanted to ask you about his demeanor and how that helps him going into this year, obviously, with the pressure that comes along with being an OU quarterback and, everything that he's been through since he's been here.
Yeah, he's got great edge about him right now. Again, he's incredibly confident, and it's all about the preparation. That's what it's come from. He's worked incredibly hard. He's put in a ton of time. He's got incredible amount of respect in our locker room, with our staff, with his teammates. So, again, excited for him to have the opportunity to walk out there, Saturday morning, go play his butt off.
Jenny?
I wanted to ask you kind of a bigger picture question. The idea of using NIL money for scholarships, basically. Kind of talk me through how you guys have worked on that and where that's come from, what that can mean for you guys long term.
Yeah, I think from that standpoint, that has the opportunity to create more depth in the roster, and that's something that I think everybody's looking at as they're going about their business. From a roster management standpoint, having 85 guys on scholarship, and then being able to create different ways. Those guys being able to use their platform, create NIL, and again, it just has the ability to create some real quality depth at some positions.
How did you sort of strike on that idea? Is that something that you heard maybe somebody else was doing a variation
No,
on,
just
or?
through conversation in the meeting room, us being together as a staff, obviously following Coach V's lead on that, and he felt that was a great way. There's no doubt about it. He's spot on, and so that's kind of where that started.
Down the right side, George.
Yeah, Jeff, I just wondered about your offensive line. How do you feel like they've come together so far, and do you have a set starting five, and are you hoping to rotate guys in?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of competition still working through. As we move forward throughout the week, you'll see multiple guys playing for sure. But we feel good about where we're at. As you look at it, there's guys that maybe haven't played a ton of ball here, but they have played a whole bunch of ball. Whether it's Walter, McCade obviously coming back as a starter, had all those starts prior to being here. Rame has all the starts that he has. And you look at guys like Tyler and Savion, and then Troy having all the starts that he had last year. So we feel good about where we're at. Again, excited about the opportunity Saturday morning.
Ryan, far right.
Not necessarily like Arkansas State, but these week 1, week 2 games with the portal, so many guys moving around. What has that done from a scouting perspective as far as trying to get everybody prepared when you maybe haven't seen a ton of guys in that uniform?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, week 1, obviously that's kind of the deal. We feel pretty good about who we're going to see on Saturday morning, but there's definitely has the opportunity to be some change up too. So there'll be a little bit of guesswork in who you're seeing. I think structurally we're going to get what they've been. There's been stability there from a coordinator standpoint, but the portal definitely for these early games has created some uncertainty on who you're going to see for sure.
Has that changed at all when you've got returning coordinators? Is that kind of similar year to like week 1s of years past?
Yeah, I think when you look at just this year, again, knowing what we're going to get structurally or what we think we're going to get, obviously we've got to be ready to adjust if we get into it and there's something different. But when you're watching the tape, you feel like what you're going to get. And they're sitting there doing the exact same thing, right? Just because of stability on our staff and everybody being back. So that's where it's at right now.
Back to the middle, James.
Yeah, Jeff, could you talk about your wide receiver core that, that was the big question mark, or some of it coming into the camp? Where do you think it's at, and how confidence And also, did you talk more about Arkansas State, just their personnel and what
Yeah.
you really see from on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, so the receiver spot, and talked a little bit about it last week, but I think we got a chance to see 6 or 7 guys. And so I think that's one thing that I'm incredibly excited about. We're excited about is that we've really got a chance to play multiple guys, which that, again, was not the case as we stood here a year ago. So excited about these guys getting an opportunity. Now they got to go do it. They've had great summers. They had great springs. They've had really good fall camps from multiple guys. So now going and making the play on Saturday morning is going to be huge. And then Arkansas State, they've got a group back on the back end that's played a bunch of ball. They've got 3 returning starters on the back end. Their field backer, their nickel is a returning starter, probably their best player on defense. They lost a bunch of guys up front and 2 interior backers, but guys on the back end that have played a lot of ball. So you turn the tape on, you see great effort, you see great intensity. Guys play with a lot of toughness and play incredibly hard. So again, our guys are excited about Saturday morning.
Eli?
Jeff, obviously you came here with some history with Dylan. Last year, in terms of maybe the in-game communication, what did you learn in that one season? Was there anything in the offseason you evaluated in the mechanics of it that
No,
needs to be different?
I think the biggest thing is just for us making sure that we're having great conversations in between drives. As soon as he comes over and gets the sheet and gets on the phone, man, those conversations just continuing to be as high level as possible and being able to see exactly what he saw, speaking the same language. He does a great job of that, and so expect that to continue.
Not obviously been in any one of those conversations before. Are there ways he's grown from when he got started with you at UCF to now in those times?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, I think he understands now more than ever maybe why I'm calling the play that I'm calling and the intent of it. And I think that's a huge deal as you go try to attack defenses and then situationally understanding why I'm calling things. So he's thinking like we do as a staff, which is a big part of it.
Bob?
Jeff, going back to the receivers, some of it is those guys being more comfortable. Some of it is the arrival of Emmett Jones. What impresses you so much about what he's been able to do?
There's great connection in that room. For a room that has a whole bunch of talent that does not have a ton of production, this room fights like heck for each other. And we've got great teammates in that group. We've got guys that are accountable every single day. They've become dependable, and a bunch of guys that are incredibly unselfish, which is, to me, it's hard to find in that room all the time. And we've got guys that root for each other, that pull for each other, that understand regardless of who's on the field, the expectation is to play really dang well. And it's been fun to watch that group come together as Coach Jones has led them.
Jesse?
Jeff, you've touched on having or feeling confident that you have multiple guys at different positions that can play. Maybe early in the season, how much of the balance is it to, obviously you want to do what you can to win games, but you also maybe want to get some guys on the field, see what you have with that competitive depth?
Yeah, I think the first part of it is we want to put our offense in the best position to have success and go score points, take care of the football, and be incredibly efficient. So whoever gives us the opportunity to do that will do that. Again, I think there's multiple guys that can play at a bunch of different positions that give us that ability, and that's what's again most important. So those guys are going to play. You'll see a bunch of different guys play on Saturday, which is going to be by intent, and that's our plan.
We'll go way back. John Hoover?
Yeah, Jeff, follow up on the wide receivers again. You said I think 6 or 7 guys. Could that conceivably stretch to 8 or 9 at some point during the season?
I think so. As we move forward and continue to get guys back, again, we've got some young guys in the room that are incredibly capable, but they are young and guys that hadn't played a ton of ball. So their reps from a game standpoint might be 5 to 10, where that's got a chance to grow as long as they get on the field and do what we think they're going to do. So. We want to be able to roll multiple guys at those positions, to be able to go play fast, and guys being able to be really fresh and fast in the fourth quarter. And I think that'll be a huge advantage.
Can you describe, as long as we're talking about wideouts, can you describe the difference in the rapport that Dylan has with those guys this year compared to last year?
Yeah, just another year in it. All the throwing and catching through the spring, all the throwing and catching this summer, and then also in the fall camp. These guys have spent a ton of time. And I think with that it's been a huge part of why we've had success in fall camp, pitching and catching, and there's a ton of trust there.
Okay, second row this side.
Hey Jeff, wanted to ask you about Savion Byrd. Just what have you seen in terms of his maturity the past couple of years, and how big was that Florida State game?
Yeah, you know, with Savion, this is a young man that's got an incredible amount of ability and plays with a toughness and an edge and a demeanor about him that we need and we want. He has become accountable. He's become dependable. He's taken care of things outside of this building, which in turn has created consistency for him inside the building, and that's been huge. And that's, you know, that's something that we talked about last spring is if we can get the best version of Savion, man, we got a chance to have a special player, and we're doing that right now. He's doing that. Credit to him, and there's been a ton of maturity through the process.
Right here, Gary.
Jeff, staying with the O-line for a second, I know that what you want out of that group has to do with the here and now, establishing a presence, being physical this year. But given your experience at Ole Miss, I was going to ask you about the importance of laying something foundational for what you're getting into next year, and how what happens this year, especially at the line of scrimmage, will really help you guys out moving forward.
Yeah, as probably as lame as it sounds, I'm concerned about Monday's practice, Tuesday's practice, playing really, really well Saturday morning. Bill's done an incredible job recruiting that room, and we've got really good depth in that room, and playing well at the line of scrimmage is something that we've been able to hang our hat on here for a long, long time, and especially with Bill. So feel good about where the young guys are. The focus, without a doubt, is, you know, playing our butt off on Saturday morning, but do feel like we signed a really good class last year, and we're in the heart of it right now. So it's good.
Go back to the right, second row, Mason, and then Justin.
Jeff, last year, this time, you really just had Aaron Gray that had a lot of experience on tape. How big is it now to have really three guys that have put a lot of good stuff on tape and have a lot of experience?
Yeah, it matters. And, you know, those guys, the way they played in the bowl game obviously was huge with Gavin and Javonte. Javonte obviously was sprinkled in a little more throughout the season than Gavin was. But both those guys, you know, look to do big things this fall. Obviously with Marcus, again, he's had a really good camp. I've talked a lot about him, excited about where he's at. And then you'll see Tawee as well. Tawee's had an incredible camp, had a great spring. And this dude plays the game the way you want it to be played, you know, with a ton of toughness, and excited for him.
Justin?
Jeff, you talked about last year's recruiting class. Can you talk about just the emphasis you guys placed on bringing in or retaining the in-state talent?
Yeah, you know, Coach V, day one when he got here, he talked about being inside out, you know, and understanding what our footprint is, who we are, and making sure that we go get the best players from the state. So it's been a huge focus for us. I think you can probably tell that as we're moving forward, but feel great about guys loving Oklahoma, you know, and those guys understanding what it means to be able to put that interlocking OU on. So we want to be inside out. That's Coach V's vision, his lead, and that's all of our, you know, our vision. So that's something that's been important to us.
Left side, third row, Randall.
So you mentioned the running backs. How are you planning to split up the carries between those guys? And is that something that you guys are planning before the game, or that you guys plan as the game goes on?
Yeah, you talk about target touches for sure, but as you get into the flow of the game, you know, understanding who's got the hot hand, you know, subbing when we need to sub when guys are tired and inside the flow of drives. So that's really, it's different week to week, series to series, and that's that'll play out a little differently every single week.
Any more questions for Coach Lebby? Barry?
Yeah, Jeff, you got more depth at quarterback. Does that mean Dylan will have a little more green light to run and scramble this year?
Yeah, I think we'll try to do a great job of taking hits off of him, just like we always have. You know, we talk about hits on the quarterback, not as, you know, as much as anything else, really. So Dylan's going to play free. He's going to have the ability to go play free. There's going to be, you know, some things that we'll do differently for sure, but I like where he's at from just being able to run the football and do the things that we want him to do, you know, throughout.
Jenny?
You guys got a chance to get Gavin Freeman a scholarship.
Yeah.
What was that moment like, and why did you guys make that move?
Well, he's earned it. I mean, more than anything, the guy has just absolutely earned every single bit of what he's gotten. And he's a young man that, again, we just talked a little bit about it, but somebody that loves the interlocking OU, that's Gavin. And it's, you know, Coach V talked a little bit about it, but a dream come true for him. This kid is an absolute pleasure. He does everything right all the time, works incredibly hard. He's really dang talented. and I couldn't be more excited for what's ahead for him.
Ryan?
Yeah, Jeff, I want to ask you about Brent and the way that he's handled some of the struggles over the last year. What have you learned about Brent Venables through what's happened over the last year?
Consistency. He is, he talks about it all the time, but he says if we don't, they won't. And that's, just setting the standard of how we operate every single day as a staff. And he is so incredibly consistent in how he operates every single day. And to me, that's what makes him such an incredible leader for our program, for our guys, for us as a staff. That's who he is.
How big is that for setting the tone when things don't go the way that you would like or you expect?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Everybody's looking at coach to see the response, and the response is exactly what you would think it would be from a man that lives by it. Doesn't talk about it. He lives it every single day. And so for me, having the ability to walk in those double doors every day, go to work for him, it's humbling, and it's been great to see.
That's all we have time for. Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it.